So today's video is something that I have wanted to film for a few days, and it's just basically about the recent meditation retreat that I went on, things that I've learned and my general experience. So for those of you who don't know, I'm just tying up my hair, sorry. So for those of you that don't know, I recently went on a 7-day silent meditation retreat with Spanda School, who are basically a consciousness and yoga center that's based in South Freo. And it has changed my life. So I do have my little journal with me that I had on retreat, and I'm just going to be referencing this in whilst I'm telling you about the things that I've learned. So basically the retreat, as a general rundown, was in Margaret River, and it was 7 days, and our general routine was like we'd wake up at 7 and then we would start meditation at 7:30, and then we'd meditate for an hour, and then we'd have our breakfast break, and then after breakfast we would do some yoga, and then we would have like a little lecture, and then we would meditate again, and then we would have a break, and then we'd have lunch, and then we'd do the same 3 hours. So we do yin yoga, meditation and a lecture, and then we would have a break, and then we would do meditation in the evening as well as a short lecture then. I'm pretty sure that was the schedule. So I had experience with meditation in the past, but never anything to this extent. I'd never fully immersed myself in the meditative experience or in a lifestyle that was really abundant with meditation or was abundant with consciousness. Like, basically the extent of my meditation before I went on this retreat was like, I would aim to meditate every day, but I'd probably end up meditating around 3 to 4 times a week. I'd been to like 1 or 2 classes, 1 or 2 meditation classes or like guided meditations before, but mostly I just looked up YouTube videos or just sat in stillness. But this whole experience has opened me up. My experience with it was a bit of a mix between going inward and uncovering deep-rooted issues, or sitting in silence and expanding my awareness. So it was kind of like a mix between the two, just as a very vague explanation. Like, I am not going to fit in every single thing that I learned into a video. I'm not going to nearly cover the half of it, I don't think. I also became very, very sick throughout you know, the middle kind of days of this retreat. Like, my body actually, I felt like I was gonna die. So I do a lot of healing, and I have done an awful lot of healing over the past few months, but a lot of my healing was at surface level, and that's something that I really uncovered. That is the main truth that I uncovered through this whole experience, is that yes, good on me for healing, but there is always some of it still stored within you. So I'm going to be talking to you mostly about what I uncovered and what and all the pain that was stored within me, and how I brought that out and how I released it and let it go and healed it. One of the first lessons that I really learned was that when we go through trauma, whether it be micro traumas or like a big traumatic issue, we store that energy in certain parts of our body. So we have like energy centers that kind of harbor a whole plethora of memories and emotions and feelings, and they sit in various places of your body. And I felt this most strongly throughout the yin yoga. So I remember the first yin session we did, I was in dragon's pose, and like, Ava, who is the lady that was running this retreat, she said basically like, okay, now relax your stomach. And I relaxed my stomach, and I felt like I was going to throw up. I'm not even kidding. I was just like standing there, and I just felt so ill and queasy, and I felt angry and like really sad and just kind of like really frustrated, really very frustrated. And there was a lot of it felt like I was kind of like bubbling out of myself in a way, and not in a good way either, not like a bubbling out of like positive emotion. It was like a bubbling out of this negativity that had been sitting, you know, in my stomach. But that being said, on the first day I kind of ignored that. I wasn't so much tapping into that, I was more trying to sit with myself and get my mind to shut up. So in the afternoon of that day, I wrote this down. For too long I felt that I had to perform a certain way, write, act, be, live or meditate in a certain way. Little did I realize that those limitations prevented me from actually expressing my truth. What was sitting in that spot was a lot of self-doubt, and this like stems back from so long in my life, you know, and even recently, you know, I do preach self-love a lot, and I do talk about self-love a lot, and I do a lot of deep work with self-love because I have been in a very horrible place of self-hatred, self-doubt and limitations. And that place, although I am healed from that, it still held a spot within me. It still held an energetic center within me. So the first day for me was about releasing expectations and releasing limiting beliefs and releasing self-doubt. Because I went into this retreat, you know, with an open mind, but on day one I was already saying to myself, why isn't my mind still yet? Like, oh my god, all these other girls are so much older than me. Like, they must be so much wiser than me. Like, I am so naive. I shouldn't be here. I don't deserve to be here. And like during my meditation, you know, I was just sitting there and then that popped up and I was like, what bullshit? Why do I have to think about that? That's not true. It's not true at all. I am worthy of being here, and if I wasn't worthy of being here, I wouldn't be here. Then on day 2, I had an amazing experience while meditating. You know, was really in the zone. I was feeling really still. I kind of like in the pauses of my breath, I just felt infinite. And then what actually happened is I get hallucinations quite a lot when I meditate, and I had this visual of my body kind of dissolving, and then I flooded out into the whole cosmos, the whole universe, and I flooded out and I flooded out, and I was floating around everywhere, and everything was a part of me and it was all connected. And then I had a thought, I was like, wow, this is cool, or some bullshit like that, and it just like kind of went back into, most of the time when I was meditating, my body was kind of like this. Like, you can't really feel your body, but you would know that you're outside of your physical flesh. That was an amazing experience, and I would have been satisfied with the retreat just having that one meditation, to be honest. I've had experiences similar to that, but never to the full extent. Then came my next kind of like lesson, which was you can only find truth from within yourself. Thoughts, others' opinions are all just objects you can pick up or choose to let pass. In being able to objectify these, they do not resonate with our inner truth. And this resonated with me because as I was meditating so often, so much, I was completely going within myself, and I showed myself my own truth, if you get what I mean. When you learn things from books, when you learn things from documentaries, the things that resonate with you are the things, no, it is only truth to you if it resonates with you. Other people's opinions and other people's truths may not necessarily resonate with yours, because at the end of it all, your whole existence stems back for this little part. Thoughts and memories and worries, they are objects. You can objectify them because they are not true essence, true self. Thoughts, they come and then they go, and you can choose to pick up on a thought and let it sit in your head for a while, or you can choose to just kind of like observe it as it's passing you. You would really witness every single day how the same thought patterns kind of repeated themselves and came back like a cycle. It was like you were spiraling throughout your day. It got to a point where you would be meditating and you'd just kind of think, why the fuck am I thinking about this? Like, this is so irrelevant. I don't need to know. So that was something that is really interesting. So basically, you can only find truth from within yourself because all the truth of the whole universe rests within your consciousness. The judged may feel their hostility and choose how to react or what to let in. The only time judgments hurt you is when you let them in, or when you project your own inner issues onto others' actions to create a story. This was about the whole self-doubt thing and how I always thought people were like talking about me, because I realized that you don't know if people hate you. You can never truly know. Like, you can get a vibe, or you can, you know, judge their actions, but at the end of the day, you're not living their life, and you, by And you thinking that they don't like you is kind of a projection of your own insecurity. The heart is the source of consciousness, pure love, forgiveness, kindness, and compassion. For so long, my heart has been closed in shackles. Because of this, I haven't been able to feel the sheer joy of open-hearted living. And this relates to my experience with all my mental health issues and everything, all the negativity that's kind of like sprung up just recently past. But basically, the shortened version of it all that isn't as personal, because it is very personal what happened and I would like to keep it mostly to myself. But the shortened version of what happened is ancestral trauma. So I refused to let go of someone, or refused to let go of the idea of someone, because in a past life I hadn't healed from that, because they had left my life and I never let go of it. It was so strange because I had another visual and I was just like, I was thinking about, I was just sitting there deep in meditation, and then the thought of this person popped up into my head, and all of a sudden I just felt a really heaviness on my heart, where normally I would feel like light, you know, during day to day. Like when I would think about this person, I'd think, oh, like that's sweet. But I felt really heavy. I felt really like, oh, okay, like that's yucky, like that's not a nice feeling. So what I actually did was I expanded that, and when you're in meditation, especially deep meditation, if you feel a weird pain, you can bring your whole awareness into where that pain is. So I brought my whole awareness into that, and it was like my heart just like exploded, and I was just placed into this big vision of one day in spring when I was with this person. That's just a very, very brief explanation of it, but whilst I was having this hallucination or vision, as you would, I kind of felt a real buzzing up here, and it was just like insane. It was like, felt like I was a kind of like a flower opening up, and there was a lot of wisdom coming in through my central channel. Third eye was buzzing and my heart was just like melting, like layers of my heart were melting off. I felt kind of like shackles on my heart, attaching myself to this person, and then I heard them unlock and fall to the floor. And at that moment I was like, I felt so much freedom, I felt so much love, and I felt an open heart, which felt like the first time in forever. And during that same meditation, or maybe it was the one during that afternoon, I also had a different vision. And by the way, I'm moving to Byron Bay because of this. And basically, like I felt uneasy in my heart again, and I was like, okay, well I still feel uneasy, like what's going on here? And I saw that I'd completely outgrown my space in Perth, and I wasn't happy here, truly. I felt uneasy here because I don't belong here. So I sat with myself and I was thinking of all the places that I was drawn to throughout my life. So I kind of like didn't think about it, but it was like I was posing kind of like an energetic question. So my heart was completely open and I posed the energetic question of Hawaii. And then my heart was like, amazing, amazing, but too far away. Too far away for you. You were so connected to Australia, like you can't do that. And then finally I just thought to myself, okay, Byron Bay. And it was like, I felt, okay, I was sitting like this, right? And I felt my arms go like this. Like I felt two bodies. I wasn't just this body. I felt an astral body of me, and then I felt an astral body of someone else, but I knew it was me. So it was like I had two arms, one going that way and one going that way. It was like these hands that were kind of like here. So my hands, they were pulling me, and I felt myself go out of my body being pulled, and I saw myself sitting and meditating on a hill that was in Byron Bay. That faded away, and my like up here was like it was strange, and this channel of white light just came into me, and it was like this thing that was up here. It was like this energy center. It came down and like came here. It was as if I was being told that you need to stop looking for yourself in places. You need to stop looking for yourself in people, especially in these people that you had your heart shackled to, yourself is not in them. Yourself is already within you. You're just not awake to it yet. And if you go to Byron Bay, you will probably wake up to it because you'll be surrounded by so many like-minded people that allow you to feel free to be yourself. And I had that and I was like, okay, meditation cannot get any better than this. Like, this is crazy stuff. Little did I know we were only on day 3. Meditation is not a luxury, it is an enjoyable necessity. When we are caught up in the do, we lose our solid foundations and our houses start to crumble. We cannot build mansions on eggshells. This is where we experience mental health issues and energy blockages. Productive downtime is essential. And that was basically me telling myself, like, stop just doing, because, you know, when I just come out of this period of really mental funk, I'll call it mental funk. When I came out of this mental funk period, what I was trying to do, I was so frustrated with myself for taking so much time for myself that wasn't even productive time. But little did I realize that that downtime was so needed for me, because my whole life is like do. And when I do meditate, it's not, when I did meditate, it wasn't productive meditation, it wasn't listening to myself. When I meditated, it was because I thought, you know, if I'm completely honest with you guys, when I meditated back then, it's because I felt like it would fix things, or I had this big expectation that I had to meditate because I was a spiritual person, but I didn't feel fully connected to my meditation until just before retreat and during retreat. You know, I had really profound meditative experiences before this retreat for a while, but it was very scattered, and having so much within such a small period of time really awakened a lot within myself. And that's one thing, is that I realized that there needs to be like an active balance between doing and being, because being is so important, and when you fully be, the do becomes easy. And then another thing I wrote was, some of the most powerful forces are invisible. Wind, consciousness, etc. You do not need presence to be powerful, popularity to be valued. Some of the smaller things you do out of sheer kindness may be ultimate. And that is pretty interesting for me, because I had this experience where I was kind of sitting in meditation, and I was kind of sitting in meditation whilst Ava was giving us a lecture, and she was saying that, like, the wind is invisible, consciousness is invisible, spiritual things are invisible, but they're so powerful and we feel them resonate within us so much. And that really stuck with me because of this. Like, I'm in no way invisible, but I feel most powerful when I am, because I've been having so many really profound intuitive experiences recently. I've always been quite intuitive, but because of my self-confidence and all that stuff, I'd never actually listened to it or tapped into it. And then recently I have been more open to my intuition and hearing what she has to say. And then came the most evolutionary day for me, which was probably day 5 to day 6. Whew, if we thought the Byron Bay experience was interesting, you should have seen this one. Oh my god. So, like, I was very deep in meditation, more deep than I'd ever been. My head is pounding with so much new remembered knowledge of myself. In meditation, I journeyed into fear. Into the white crack by my shoulder, I journeyed so deeply into myself that I saw myself grinning like the Cheshire Cat. This is very significant for me, because basically I have felt this, like, ever since the Nullarbor, I felt this weird energy center in my back, like a line like this, just next to my left shoulder blade. And, like, I could feel it, like, moving sometimes, or like doing this or doing that, and it was really freaky. And basically in this meditation, it was like opening and white light was shining out. And I found that I've actually had this for a while, just before the Nullarbor as well, but I wasn't really open to it then. And I brought my awareness to that spot, and I was like, the fuck is going on here? So basically, I when I went into this place, I saw my first ever experience with sleep paralysis as probably like a 10 or 11-year-old. During this dream, I woke up, but I was paralyzed in my bed just after this whole ordeal with the storm, and I saw a smile on my curtains over there. Let's just envision that there. I saw this smile staring at me, and it was like a Cheshire cat, and I kind of heard footsteps and all this stuff around my house and all these weird noises, and I just saw this Cheshire cat. It was just grinning at me. And my first initial reaction wasn't necessarily fear, it was kind of just like, what the fuck is happening? And then when I tried to move, it was like fear, 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 and it was so intense. And ever since then, I've had sleep paralysis on and off, had repetitive sleep paralysis literally for like 3 months straight. Every single night I had sleep paralysis in one specific location, or 3 different locations where I'd have this sleep paralysis. So then I journeyed into fear, and I saw the Cheshire cat. And it was so weird because as I was meditating and as I thought about the Cheshire cat, I actually saw myself, I started smiling. You know, as I was sitting there, I couldn't help myself from smiling. My body just did it. And I was smiling. And I had this memory of seeing myself lying there on the bed. And then it really fucked me up because I was like, oh my God, okay, so all along, this whole sleep paralysis thing that started was because I went to myself.